All right, welcome back to Round Tail Restoration, everybody. My name is Chris Fisher. I'm restoring a 1964 Triumph TR4. And next to me, to my left here, which I'll show you in a second, I got the engine out a couple weeks ago, started tearing it down this weekend. But that's with my assistant. So I'm saving the mechanical work with him, and then the body work and everything I'll get back to on this side. So we'll get into it. Thanks for watching. So like I said, I got the motor torn apart, and everything appears to be in pretty good shape. I don't have the guts out of her yet, but the head's off, sitting over there. There has been work done on this engine. It has been, you can see the blue Permatex. So the motor's definitely been taken apart. I don't have any stamp markings on the crankshaft that it appears to be machined or anything like that. The pistons, if you can see them down there, look pretty shiny in here. I have not measured them yet. I don't know if they're oversized at all or what the deal is. But this is the original motor to the car. But again, it has been taken apart. But everything that I've been taking apart so far looks pretty good. Relatively high quality. It's got a new camshaft chain and pulleys and everything, and they're stamped with a German match mark, so they're not probably a little bit of quality there. So hopefully that's a good sign that the stuff that was done to this motor has been quality. No idea on the mileage, but again, that's for another video that I'm working on. Several parts there to tear it down and to get the measurements and everything like that. But that's for another day. So today we'll get into what we're going to get into with the body. So here's that piece right behind the driver's side, B-post. I got that most of the way welded in. I still have to trim it, still have to do the plug wells. You can see the surface rust that's getting on it. But I'm gonna leave that be for now. That's in there pretty well. Some good sized gaps there that I'll have to fill in, but just get a piece of copper up behind there. It'll be okay. But today I'm gonna assess the floors. Both floors, I've got that replacement floors sitting right there. Both floors are gonna get replaced. I did my Spitfire, so obviously this is going to be somewhat similar. One nice thing about the TR4 is it's a full frame car, so the frame supports come way out here, so I don't have to worry about as much body flex. I am going to leave it on the frame to do this, but now I'm just going to kind of start poking around and prodding and seeing how stuff is connected and what's spot welded and what's not spot welded and things like that, and see how much of an ordeal this is going to be. I'm going to do a little bit of interference removal here. Get this is the high beam switch. Get that out of here. Get these wires that are right here and just kind of move them over to the side. I'm not quite ready to pull the wiring harness yet, but not too far away. So these look like 7/16. Captive nuts for these ones into the fender well. So I'm just going to put them in on the opposite side here so I don't lose them and I don't have to worry about bagging them now. This little bundle of wires goes into the engine compartment, so I'll mark that. Flasher here, heavy duty flasher. So that's the round kind like the Spitfire had. Fish these wires through here. These wires are for the windshield wiper motor and the brake line. Looks like a common ground, or not the brake line, but the brake light switch. That looks like that's about it for that. And there's also a windshield wiper pump hose, that windshield washer pump hose, I should say, that runs through there. All right, so again, just getting that out of the way. I'm pretty happy with the condition of the wiring harness on the car. So I have, at least as of now, I have every intention of holding on to it and using it. All right, so as far as tie down points go for the floor, there's one here, floor to frame. You got the two that would go to the arch or the transmission tunnel support, and then a bunch of floor, 4/8 bolts for the floor on the onto the outer portion of the frame, and then one that you can't see right now in the center. I'm not concerned with removing any bolts right now, so pretty much all I'm going to do now is just try to get this, you can see all this Bondo here, get all this stuff cleaned up, just get some rust and gunk and crap and everything else that's in here. Use a scraper and the vacuum, just kind of go to town a little bit here. All right. Well, this side is actually not horrible. I probably could save it, but I'm not. One thing I will point out, you got there's a lot of little like pop rivets and stuff like in here. There's one right here that's just off camera, another one over here that you can just barely see. Essentially hold downs for the carpet. Didn't save any of that stuff with the Spitfire. I want to do that this time just to retain the position. I got rid of all the floorboards and everything, and I don't want to do that again. So this guy right here is a support that just ties the B post into the sill just to provide some flexibility support. So that's going to need to come out, and this looks like it'll be a saved piece. There's the flat portion here, and then there's our little reinforcement behind here. If you notice this channel here, the TR4 originally, it's a two-piece door seal that runs down the seam of the door, and then the other one that kind of sits in here. And these channels you can still get. The whole bottom of this is all rusted out. That's relatively normal. You can convert over the TR6 seal, which is just a single piece seal, but from what I understand, it's a little bit of a different fit, and it doesn't always keep the water out. So like I said, you can still get these seals. So my intention would be to try to put the seals back in, this channel back in, and reuse the seals. So I do have all the sills, strengtheners, and the inner and the outer sill, I should say, the floor. So I've got all the pieces parts here. So I'm going to clean up this part here, try to find the spot welds in here, drill those spot welds out, get this piece off. There's some brazing, I think, that ties these on the back side, get that stuff off, get this piece into my hand, and that'll be step one of starting to get this stuff out of here. So if you can see here, you're starting to get into multiple layers of metal. So you got one here going long ways to the car, one here, and even then the cover here, and then the support in the back. So that's this front one here. This front one is the B post, so I don't want to destroy that. And then the side ones or the back ones are the inner sill. And though I'm not concerned with that as much, I still want to try to, you know, not cause any damage that I don't have to cause. So getting this thing off slowly but surely. So the support ended up not being too bad. There was only essentially one or maybe two spot welds on each corner. And then I've got a weld bead here and a weld bead down there that I'm going to cut out. And I know the light is bad here, so I'll get some light over here, show you cut it out, and then that whole piece should come out. All right, if you notice that one, there was no sparks or anything, so that's all brazed in there. So I don't care about this part, but I do care about this part, so I'm going to go a little bit lower here and try not to cut into my metal. All right, there you go. Not too bad, saved most of it. Didn't cut into that guy at all. That's pretty good. And like I said, I don't care so much about that down there. So that's the support piece there. And obviously we'll eventually get this all cleaned up and nice and purty. And there you go. So step one of floor removal complete. Now that I got this angled piece, the gusset off here, you can see down at the bottom here, there's quite a bit of holes and everything. That's over and above the holes that I put in it for getting the spot welds out. So what I'll do there is I'll just manufacture a whole new piece. I got a whole bunch of sheet metal, so that's a flat and easy thing. Probably one of the easiest repair patches I would have to make yet. The support beam here, whatever it's properly called, that's in pretty good shape. And there's like little notches cut in it. If you can just kind of see that, at least on this side. So I don't believe the new ones have that. I want to save this, but that'll just take a little bit of cleaning up, and it'll be ready to put back in the car. So next up, what I want to do, because now I'm going to start breaking into actually removing the sill and some of the strength that the car has. Now, like I mentioned, unlike the Spitfire, the frame does come all the way out here. so I'm not as concerned. But I got this heavy bar stock here, and I think I'm going to do at least one, if not two, stretches across the inside of the door. And I do want to go across the inside of the door because I want to try to minimize interference with the fitting the driver's side door back up, so that when I go to weld this stuff back in, I can put the driver's side door in there and get good contact and have it open and close and everything to make sure my gaps aren't all wonky. Again, like I had to do with the Spitfire, though didn't do as good of a job. So obviously got some cutting and cleaning and welding to do here, so we'll get that knocked out. So some of the challenges here, essentially the sill is all one piece, goes from here all the way down the length of the car into there. You can see that piece on the left there. That's the outer sill. I got that standing up. To the right is the inner sill. Replacement part for those. Those are both British Motor Heritage, and that goes in here. Obviously a big hole here, and that goes all the way across. So the problem is I got to break this braze. There's a bunch of spot welds here on the A post, and then a tab here that's going to have to get welded out or ground out. All these welds that are in here, I'm sure, for this piece. And then the B post has something similar. It looks like there's brazing right here. Got to get those all cut out, all these cut out, and then there's a little lip here and everything like that. And then I got to disassociate the B post here and the A post here. So the problem is, and what you've seen me use in the past, if you watched my Spitfire videos, is this Blair spot weld cutter, and these things are really nice. They're expensive, but they drill essentially a 3/8 inch hole on the outer piece of the metal. The problem is the 3/8 inch hole is way too big for a normal rosette weld or spot weld with the MIG welder. So I had big holes there. Now on the piece that you are sacrificing, it doesn't really matter, right? Because you're just going to chuck that anyway. So on the sill, on the inner sill, I don't really care. But on the B post here, I don't want to put this big gaping hole in it if I can help it. So you'll see me use drill bits instead. I don't care about, however, what's convenient here is normally when you use a drill bit, what you can potentially do is go through obviously the outer piece of metal, because you got to break the spot weld, and then through and into and through the inner piece of metal potentially. Well, for the majority of the time here, I don't care about the inner piece of the metal, because that's what I'm trying to get rid of. So I want to minimize the size of the hole in the outer piece of metal for the pieces that I'm trying to save, and I don't really care what's going on with the other side. So most of the spot welds that I'm going to pop out here are going to be with the drill bits, and just I don't know how many there are, but I'm sure there's a lot. And then also got to worry about the floor. Now when I get to the parts that I really don't care about, I'm just going to take the grinder and the cutting wheel and go to town on the floor and get the floor out and get that cut out and stuff like that. So there's no reason to save any of that. But for the posts and all that, I know I've been talking a lot. For the posts and all that, I obviously want to save all that stuff, so I'll be nice and gentle. All right, I really don't have a particular place to start here, so I'm going to go ahead, grind this down with a wire wheel to try to expose the spot welds. Same over here on the B post here and this little ledge here. And remember, all this is all one piece, and I'm trying to remove the sill from everything around it. This piece right here, or this piece right here, now you can see it is just bolted to the side of the car here, and that's just to prevent, there's a big hunk of rubber that goes on that, and that's just to prevent road debris and everything from the tire coming in and splashing in and getting in here and collecting and rusting out. No real rhyme or reason here. I'm going to start up at the front because, you know, why not? So I'm going to grind away the paint and everything to try to expose the spot welds here on the bottom of the A post and the bottom of this this footwell piece here. This big piece that you see here, that can unbolt, so I'm going to get him remove that just to get it out of my way here in a second. And this little flap right here, I've got to get that. But everything else, I think, should be good. And we'll just slowly work our way down. Alright, so there's that piece. I'll set that aside. Yeah, well, that didn't work as well as I would have hoped. Kind of hard to see where the spot welds are. We'll just start here and work our way around. I do have a marker. I don't remember what the hell these things are called, to mark the holes so that drift punch or whatever you want to call it, so the drill bit doesn't float. I'm not seeing any evidence of any spot welds here on the B post, which is interesting. I doubt it's all held in with the solder or the braze, but maybe it is. All right, so anyway, we'll go ahead And we're going to take these out first. This little tab here, that might be all it is. It might be just this tab and this this braze over here that you can't really see. So I think I'm going to investigate that first, just to see the extent of that, get that cleaned up a little bit, cut through this brazing. And again, I'm going to be cutting into the sill here, not into the A-post. And I'm probably going to confuse A-post and B-post all night. So we'll go ahead and clean that up and cut that and move on. Really easy to see those spot welds. I don't know how easy you can see them, but 2 there, and it looks like at least 2 more there. Get the chisel in there and kind of start to pry up a little bit before I start to drill here. This might be a little painful because it's going to be really tight, so we're not too sure if I'm going to be able to get in there very well. That's definitely where the welds are. Using this Roto-Broach stuff, it came, or it didn't come with, but I purchased it when I purchased the spot weld remover, the big one, the Blair one. And just to kind of lubricate the drill bit, it's very difficult to maintain your self-control and not push the hell out of the drill bit. And the harder you push, the hotter it gets and the easier it is to dull up the bit a little bit. And I probably have already done that for a lot of these bits. So anyway, we'll just see what happens here. Yeah, that drill bit's pretty much gone. So what I was thinking I could do, instead of cutting all these spot welds at least now, is just go through and plunge the cutting wheel along the outside of the stuff that I want to save. Got to get this flap still. I need to do that because I don't want to get into the cutting wheel there. So I might be able to sneak it in there. I don't cut into here, cut into the back. I might be able to save myself from all these spot welds now and just get this thing off of here. I might look around a little bit, see if I can get this. I got one more spot weld in here. I'll take care of that. Let me look around a little bit and see if that's an option here. Got the last spot weld here, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do a plunge cut right into here. There's some stuff up here I'm going to need to worry about, but I'll just trace down here until I get to close to this tab and then stop, or at least try to get close to that. Plunge cut in here. I can't fish the blade, the scraping blade, all the way through here, so that stops eventually, but I can't really tell what's in there. So I'll come across here and get that cut right here. So that should essentially release the B post from the sill, and then do the same thing, or excuse me, the A post, and then go to the back and do the same thing with the B post back there. Now I don't expect this thing to come off. I'm gonna have to play with it quite a bit, I'm sure, but we'll see. So face shield, glasses, headphones. All right, so I've got a lot of this cutaway here. You can see I'm able to bend it open. Didn't get into here yet because I got to get something. I don't know if I use my Sawzall or what in there, but that's not really, it's a tight corner to get around this tab. And then up at the front here, the forward bottom portion, which is not part of the floor or anything else, that's pretty much rotted away. So I'm not sure if I'm just going to hack into it. I want to study that a little bit. I might need to get the tire off to do that. And then in the back here, kind of the same problem. It's definitely going to come apart. It's not going to be pretty when it does, but I should be able to like peel this open, I think, and just kind of get it out of here. You know, destruction, and then go back and clean up and split metal and get stuff ground off and things like that is essentially what I'm going to try to do. All right, was able to use the Dremel here just to kind of get this broken away. Lot of rust in there. Let me cut this real quick. You can see all that loveliness. All rust there. And then this vertical portion coming down here, I believe, is the floor. So it all meets up, if you can see. that angle right there, the floor comes down there and pinches to the bottom of the sill. So all this is floor, all rusted out obviously. So I'll go ahead and get this part banged away. That'll free that. And then I'm just going to try to continue to bend this stuff down, work my way back. I don't have that quite loose yet. And just cut right below the floorboard as I move this out of the way, and just take the cutting wheel, go straight across, and then that way, obviously here I can see what's going on under here with the big old hole there. That's interesting. And then check this out. All right, now I'm gonna go concentrate around the back here. I'll show you that. Believe it or not, I have never taken off a wire wheel before. I already loosened it. So those threads look all right. This guy's pretty beat up here. Obviously all the chrome's gone and everything. That looks all right, but I didn't really expect it to look bad. So then the wheel should, once I get it up in the air, should just slide off. Check out the splines. And it slid off. And the splines look, ooh, they look really good. That's awesome. All right, and then you can see this is the adapter here. So if you want to get into the brake, you got to take these 4 bolts off, which are essentially the lug nuts. And if you don't want to wire wheels, I think that's as simple as removing this adapter, and then you can put the steel wheels on. So now the whole reason I did that was to get back, be able to angle cut that right there. So we'll go ahead and get that knocked out. All right. That looks like the inside of in here. So actually, I might need to save this so I can have it as a template. That looks like the inside of the inner sill, actually. But obviously, a lot of gunk in here, a lot of rust. So now, like I said, what I'm going to try to do is go straight across the floorboard, or just about where that seam is, and I should be able to then drop. This whole sill should come down at that point. And again, this vertical portion here, which you can barely see right now, that's the floor. Above that, above the brake, is the inner sill, and then the seam for the outer sill comes in down here, and the outer sill is what I'm bending down. So we'll go ahead and get this thing off of here, and that'll be cool. So one thing I will point out is that the frame comes out here, at least the little outrigger for the frame that the floor bolts to, and I'm pretty sure I just kind of cut into that a little bit, so that was a mistake. I have to watch out for that. And then I got the other piece way back here, so oopsie. Hopefully I didn't do any damage there. Well, there's that. Learned some lessons on this one, that's for sure. So in an effort to understand how this stuff all fits together, and I did the same thing on the Spitfire, is I've got the floor here. These are all Heritage stampings, so they should be of good quality. You probably can't see because of the angle, but this is the same floor that you would order if you got a TR6 or a TR4A. And at some point during the runs of those cars, they changed the frame out, and the frame attachment from the floor to the little outriggers that come out moved up and went to 3 bolts, but they still have the indentation here, so that's something that I'll have to go back and do, is do the 4 holes in there, but the front one's not the same, or is the same. So this is the floor. So attached to that is the inner sill, and that fits somewhat like that. All right, so I nice fits through there. All right, obviously not the best solution here doing it on the car, but the workbench is full of stuff right now. All right, so adjust for that to get it lined up and all that kind of good stuff. But that'll fit like that, and you can see, at least hopefully, that there's little indentations where everything is. And this is matched, the little recess here, and this is matched on the car as it sits right now. And then the outer sill bolts up to here, or welds up, I should say, down there. And then the other one will come in down here. Now, right now, I can feel it that this this sill needs to be compressed a little bit. So, in other words, this portion is too far down, and it's going to need to pop up a little bit. So I had the same problems with the springiness or whatever you want to call it. But that's essentially how it goes together. And then you've got end caps in here and a front cap up here. That's essentially the big flick. So now that I kind of know how this goes together, I'll be able to translate that to what needs to get cut and how this stuff welds up underneath the car and all that kind of stuff. Now this is, there's no inner strengthener on this. In other words, in between the outer sill and inner sill like the Spitfire had. And again, because the frame comes out here, it didn't need that support that the Spitfire needed because the frame was like an hourglass shape, and in the center of the car, there was no frame. It went right down the transmission tunnel. So I'll put this aside now, take it back apart, and I'll get you under the car real quick and show you what I'm looking at under there. All right, under the car now, and obviously the light's not going to be that great, but this is the outrigger that I was telling you about. And this piece here, that triangle piece, is part of the frame, I guess you could say, and it's not capped on the bottom but goes around up top, and I did cut into a little bit right there, as you can see. So once I get that off, I'll look at that and assess if I think I need to buy another one of those. But like I said, those things are easy to get. They're only like 12 bucks, but you can see the heavy duty outrigger there. So that's the attachment point from the floor to the frame there. Here underneath, this part right here with the hole in it, that's all the outer sill. So that's attached in some way at least. And I don't know how they would have spot welded that, so I need to figure that out. I got to poke around in there a little bit more. And then again, this part right here is the inner sill. The floor is gone, right? The floor had the big lip like here, so that's all gone. I've cut that all away. And then the back here, you can see that divot like I showed you on the new pieces right there. So that's all part of the floor here, and the inner sill up here. And then obviously the B post all in here, that's all gone underneath. Part of the A post again, or excuse me, part of the outer sill again. I got to figure out how to get that stuff off. You can see the brake right there. And then again, it's the same bracket setup that's underneath here. And then further back, all in this corner, all underneath here, that got beat up, it looks like, a couple times. And there's a bunch of holes and everything back in there. So there's a lot of little patches that are going to need to happen in there. But the rest of the fender well looks pretty solid. So let's see, that's really about it. So what I'm going to do now, I think, is I can get the floor out. If I cut the inner sill right along here, if I cut that all the way across, I can essentially detach the floor from the inner sill and leave the inner sill hanging. And then I got to do those bolts there, and those are in halfway decent shape, but these up here are not in halfway decent shape. I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to get them off. And then you got this guy with the big square block on there, and then obviously the floor attaches up there with that little angle piece and all that kind of stuff. I got some frame to worry about up there to make sure that I'm not going to cut into that. But again, so I'm going to go ahead and dive do a plunge cut again like I did, and see if I can hack this floor out a little bit around the tunnel there, the prop shaft tunnel, all that. I'm sure that's spot welded in, so I'm going to clean that up a little bit. It's getting a little long in the tooth for the evening for a school night, so we'll see how far I get. I don't know what that white stuff is. Well, I do. It's sealant of some sort, but that's... I wonder if that's original. Probably is. And these floors have definitely never been out. Cool. Alright, well that's those 4 bolts in the back. Like I said, the ones in the front are going to be a lot trickier than that. Well, I was able to get 3 out of the 4 just by using vice grips and grabbing them, and then if it got loose enough, I was able to use the impact drill and get it the rest of the way. But that last guy there is not coming out. It's too rounded off and everything. So I'm going to turn it into a screw and then use a wrench assisted screwdriver to try to get it out. Nope. All right, so I'll just try to take the Dremel tool now and cut the head off. That obviously doesn't leave the bolt in there, but I don't know what else I can do. So I did get that bolt head off. Not too difficult. Just took the Dremel to it and got that thing off. So I might have to get it flush there to get the floor out, but I doubt it. Based on the time, I'm gonna call it a night and therefore call it a video. I don't want to get ahead of myself and just go willy-nilly cutting into this thing and without looking at some more pictures and everything. So, but I think the plan ahead, like I had mentioned, is cut the inner sill away from the floor and then essentially worry about the prop shaft tunnel over there. And I don't think there's going to be a whole lot more to it. But yeah, so that's all I got. So thanks again for watching, liking and subscribing. I appreciate all the support, especially lately. It was really nice to get the Spitfire out the last couple weekends and put some miles on her. It's supposed to be really nice this weekend. Hopefully I can get back out. So again, thanks so much for watching, liking and subscribing, and we'll talk to you guys later. Cheers.